This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a look at the VOLTA Spark, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. Let's dive in. As you can see here, we've got actually 4 of these VOLTA chargers, and they're all unique, which we will dive into in a little bit. But first, I want to start by talking about the little case that comes with these. So like I said, there are 4 different chargers, just different sizes and different output, but they all come with this same little carrying case. It isn't terribly rigid. It kind of almost feels like a hard cardboard. I don't know if you know what I mean when I say that, like that thicker, almost like compressed cardboard. They kind of feel like that, and then they have a waterproof coating on them. And they do feel pretty nice, and I think they look pretty sleek. But I guess one kind of gripe with them is that they are a little bit big. You can see it in my hand there. And it's not, a terribly small package for what it holds, especially when you're using one of their smaller cables. There's 2 sizes, which we'll get into in a little bit. This is a pretty big little case, or a pretty big non-little case for a cable. And it does take up a bit of room, which if you do have the smaller cable, it almost seems counterintuitive to have a case this big, but it does keep the charger protected. It is a durable charger, as we'll get into, but overall pretty happy with it. I did have on one of them the zipper popped open twice. I don't know if it was the same one, so I don't know if there's something wrong with that zipper or there was something that I was doing, but the zipper popped open just when I was closing it. It didn't pop open after I had closed it, so that's something to look out for. But we will jump inside here. So this is one of the shorter cables. Open up to get a longer one as well. And there's one of the longer ones. So as you can see here, we'll put these to the side for now. We have the shorter cable here and the longer cable on this side. We have 4 because there are the 2 lengths and then there are the 2 wattages. So there is a 1 meter, which is 3.2 feet. There is a 2 meter, which is about 6.5 feet. And then there are 60 watt and 100 watt versions. So 4 different options. So depending on what kind of charging needs you personally need, you can pick which one works best for you. If you only need 60 watts or you can't go above a certain wattage, you go with the 60 watts, or if you can go up to 100 or you want a little bit more power, you go with the 100 watts. And then you've got 2 kind of vastly different lengths. You've got the 3.2 foot one and the 6.5 foot one. So the first one is kind of like a standard cable, just over 3 feet, and then you've got the 6 foot cable, which is double the length of the first one. But as you can see, this one takes up a lot more room in the case here. So this is like having a case. This doesn't bother me so much because this kind of takes up just about the same amount of room as the case does. So that doesn't bother me so much. But the smaller one here, it doesn't take up nearly as much room as the case does. So the case seems just kind of not annoying, but just seems like it's a little bit of a waste of space. And as you can see here, there is on the case a little storage section up here. And this is where the adapters go, and also this little piece here, which I will talk about later. So this little area is not by any means perfect in my opinion. Like, I'll see if I can show you my issues with it right here just by kind of like shake it around a little bit. And there they are. They're both outside of the area that they started in. And obviously, you're not going to purposely shake this, but in your bag, especially if you're traveling and this is in your backpack as it goes through the airport or whatever, like it's going to get shook up. And then these, when you open it, especially these adapters are so small, and we came with these 3 adapters, and these are the 3, I guess you'd call them main chargers. We have the Lightning, the USB-C, and the micro USB, the little magnets. So without these, the charger is useless. So if you were to, get to your destination and pull it out because you need a charge, and when you're pulling it out, they were to fall out, the charger is pretty much useless. You could get new ones when you got home, but without these little bits here, you are not going to be doing any charging. So the fact that the area where you're supposed to store them is not all that secure it's not ideal. I mean, maybe you can come up with a better way to secure them, but not super happy with that. But moving back to the chargers here, I'll unravel this shorter one. They come with this little Velcro here too. Got the little VOLTA V on there. You see these with most cables these days, to be honest. So we've got a braided nylon. This will be kind of hard to focus, but very durable cable. I've been testing a lot of cables lately, and this is probably one of the better ones that I've dealt with, to be honest. I mean, it's not too thick to where it's hard to manipulate. Like, it's still got a lot of bend and give to it, but it's very sturdy on the ends here. Just hard plastic, and then this is another hard plastic. This is like more bendy plastic, and this is hard, like won't budge. But very happy with the durability of this thing. And no frays on any of them. I did use all of them. I know that might sound weird, but I used all 4 of these. And something that I think is important to note is I can't tell the difference between the 60 watt and the 100 watt by looking at them. So if you do get a 60 watt and 100 watt for different devices, figuring out which is which, I have not been able to do it. If you know how, and I looked on their site too, let us know, because I couldn't tell the difference. Obviously, when you plug them in, you'll be able to tell by the different wattage that is pulsing through the cable. But just by looking at them, you can't tell, which is a little bit annoying, a little bit of an extra step to figure it out. But as I mentioned earlier, we've got this micro USB, USB-C, make sure you can see that, and a lightning. So what these do is they're magnets. As you can see, they all stick together. We've got one end of this cable is a USB-C, and that does not come off. That's just on there forever. And then on this end, you've got what looks like a little adapter. And so there's a magnet in here and a magnet on this, and it kind of just snaps in. Nice, and it's a really strong magnet, like it's kind of hard to pull it out of there. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but and you can kind of probably better illustrate that on the ground when I just slowly go towards it. It really has a good amount of pull there. I mean, that's about a little over an inch away, I think, and it was pulling it to attach it. So they do stick pretty well. Another way to illustrate that is I've got my phone here. When you stick it in, like if you bring it at flip that so the light's not so harsh. If you bring it at an angle, that piece is gonna stay in there, but if you come straight out, the little piece is going to come with it. But when you do come at an angle and it stays in there, so that's kind of the draw of these pieces, is that they snap out with the magnet. So like if you have your phone plugged in and someone steps across the cord or something like that, you're not going to rip the charger out or bring the phone with you. It's just gonna unattach that magnet. So as you see, I kind of just ripped it off there, and the whole charger didn't come out, the phone didn't come flying out of my hand, it just undid. So that's kind of nice. Like I have an older MacBook at home. I've got like a 2012 MacBook, and it's similar to those old chargers with the magnet, how it just kind of pops out. And I really do like that, but it does have its drawbacks as well, because like right now, it's hard for me to get this out of my phone. There is a little tool that comes in here, and I'm not sure if this is what this is for, but I think it is. It's to pry that out of there. And it just kind of, I don't want to hold on to this all the time and necessarily keep track of it in here either. But like without it, I have to either it's hard to get in there to get that out of there. I got kind of longer nails, so I was able to get it. But depending on your case, you may have to take the case off, or if you lose this piece, you may have to take the case off to get it. So that's a little bit of a drawback to me, but if you don't need it, like if you're not sharing the charger and like you don't really need to be switching, you could just keep this in there all the time and then you wouldn't have an issue. I typically have like a few chargers around my house and I take a different charger with me. So that wouldn't particularly work for me unless you have a bunch of these chargers. Because if you have like a 3-pack of these chargers, one for home, one for your, like when you're in transit in your backpack, and then one at work or wherever else you may be, it's not, not a terrible idea, but if you have chargers everywhere or you're borrowing chargers, not super ideal. Yank that out of there again. But another thing about the magnet is that if you are someone who likes to be charging your phone and put it in your backpack or put it in your sling, this does tend to get knocked out. So I was putting it in a sling every so often just because like I like to do that when I'm riding my bike. If my phone's like close to dead and I have my battery bank, I'll just plug it in my pack and not worry about it till I get home or I get wherever I'm going. But I did notice that a few, like I think 3 of the probably 6 or 7 times I did it, at some point the charger would come undone and then it wouldn't be charging, so kind of defeats the purpose in general. So if that's something you do often, that is something that I think is pretty important to note about this charger. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this performs. I'll pull out the large one just so you can get a good look at that one as well. I'll put these pieces over here. So obviously this exact same cable, just longer this time. And I'm pretty happy with how this little piece of Velcro performs. I've gotten some cables in the past that have these pieces of Velcro, but they can't handle that many wraparounds. I mean, that's, more than a dozen pieces of cable there, and it does handle it pretty well. But all these came the same way, depending on the length or the wattage. They all had the same things. They have the 3 little adapters and this little tool, which it is handy, but I really don't want to, keep track of that. It's not something that's useful to me other than this. You could if you have like a multi-tool, there's probably something on your multi-tool that could pop the little adapter out if you need to, but nice that it comes with it, but I really didn't want to keep track of it. It's not something that is, like I said, useful to me otherwise. But overall, very happy with how this cable performs. There are some quirks, as I said, depending on your usage, but I think it's a good travel companion, especially if you're willing to, get 3 of the same cable, and then you can kind of go with it. With the adapters, you could charge your iPhone, or if you're traveling with someone who also has an Android and you need the USB-C, or if you're bringing a Nintendo Switch and you want to charge that, or a lot of my headphones, I think I've got 3 pairs of Bluetooth headphones, and shockingly they all use micro USB. So having those 3 adapters, and you can kind of, if you needed to, you could just keep it plugged in. I just kept the micro USB plugged into my Bluetooth headphones that go over ear the whole time I've been testing these. And then I only needed to charge it basically 1.5 times, but just snap it in and it's charging, and then take it to work the next day. So there are definitely a lot of pros to this, and like I said, it's not going to work for everyone, but it is a unique design, and I'm excited to see where VOLTA takes this in the future. But there you have it, the VOLTA Spark. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.